I walked out of work at 6:15 on a Tuesday evening, my mind already on dinner, and stopped dead in the parking lot. My spot was empty. Completely empty. My 2023 Camry, pearl white, just paid off 3 weeks ago, was gone. My hands shook as I dialed my parents. "Mom, my car was stolen. I need to call the cops." Her laugh cut through the line. "Oh, honey, relax. We gave it to Elena. She needs it more than you." I hung up. Then I dialed 911. Standing in that parking lot with my phone pressed to my ear, I felt like the ground had opened up beneath me. The emergency dispatcher asked me to repeat what I said because my voice was shaking so badly. "My car is missing. My parents took it without permission and gave it to my sister." The dispatcher paused. "Sir, are you saying family members took your vehicle?" "Yes. I never said they could. They just took it. She told me officers were on the way and to stay where I was." I leaned against the brick wall of the building where I worked, trying to process what my mother had just said to me. She laughed. She actually laughed when I told her my car was stolen. Let me back up so this makes sense. My name is Chip, and I'm 28 years old. I work as an assistant manager at a logistics company about 20 minutes from where I grew up. That Camry was my pride and joy. I saved for 4 years to buy it. 4 years of watching every dollar, skipping nights out with friends, bringing lunch from home every single day, driving my old beater Honda until the transmission finally gave out. When I walked into that dealership and signed the papers for a brand new car, I felt like I had finally made it. It was the first new car I had ever owned. The smell of fresh leather, the way the engine purred, the pristine paint job that gleamed in the sunlight. I washed it every weekend. I kept the interior spotless. 3 weeks ago, I made my final payment. The title was mine, free and clear. No bank owned a piece of it anymore. Just me. My sister Elena is 3 years younger than me. She's 25 now. And in those 25 years, she has totaled 3 cars. 3. The first one happened when she was 19. She was texting while driving and slammed into a telephone pole. Walked away without a scratch, but the car was destroyed. My parents bought her another one within 2 weeks. The second car lasted about 18 months. She ran a red light while speeding and T-boned someone in an intersection. Again, she was fine. The other driver had minor injuries. My parents bought her car number 3. That one lasted the longest, almost 2 years. She rear-ended someone at a stoplight because she was doing her makeup in the visor mirror. Totaled. And again. My parents stepped in and bought her a used sedan. Every single time. They made excuses. She's young. Everyone makes mistakes. She's learning. Meanwhile, I put myself through community college, never asked them for a dime after I turned 18, and worked my tail off to afford my own life. The police arrived 15 minutes later. 2 officers. One older guy with gray at his temples, and a younger woman with sharp eyes. I explained everything as calmly as I could, but my voice kept cracking. "So your parents took your vehicle without permission?" the older officer asked. "Yes, sir. I came out of work and it was gone. I called them thinking it was stolen, and my mother told me they gave it to my sister." "Are your parents on the title or registration?" "No. It's only in my name. I have the digital copy right here." I pulled up the documents on my phone, showing them my name alone on the title and registration. The younger officer made notes. "And you never gave them permission to take it?" "Absolutely not. I would never let my sister drive my car. She's wrecked 3 cars in 5 years." The officers exchanged glances. Then the older one said, "We need to verify this with your parents. What's their number?" I gave it to them, and they called on speakerphone. My mother answered on the 3rd ring. "Hello. Ma'am, this is Officer Davis with the police department. We're here with your son Chip regarding a vehicle. Can you confirm you took his car today?" "Oh, yes." Her voice was light, unconcerned. "We gave it to our daughter Elena. She needed reliable transportation, and Chip has always been responsible. He can figure something out. It's just a car." "Mom, did Chip give you permission to take this vehicle?" A pause. Then, "Well, not in so many words, but we're family. Family helps family. He knows that." The officer's expression hardened slightly. "That's not what I asked. Did he explicitly give you permission?" "Officer, I don't appreciate your tone. My husband helped Chip with the down payment on that car. We have every right to decide how it's used. My jaw dropped. That was a complete lie. I saved every penny for that down payment myself. That's not true, I said loudly enough for her to hear. They never gave me any money for that car. I paid for everything myself. Chip, don't be difficult, my mother said through the phone. You know your father helped you out. He absolutely did not. The officer held up a hand to quiet me. Mom, do you have a spare key to this vehicle? Yes, we do. We kept one when Chip first bought it, just in case of emergencies. And Chip, did you give them this spare key? No, I have no idea how they got it. I only had the 2 keys the dealer gave me. The officers stepped away to confer quietly. I could see the younger officer shaking her head. When they came back, the older officer's expression was apologetic. Mr. Chip, here's the situation. Your parents are claiming you verbally agreed to let your sister borrow the car, and they say your father contributed to the purchase. Without documentation proving otherwise, this becomes more of a civil dispute than a criminal matter. But I never agreed to anything. And they're lying about the money. I believe you, but proving it is complicated when it's family saying different things. However, we can file this as unauthorized use of a vehicle. I'd recommend you also speak to an attorney about your options. The younger officer added, Do you know where the vehicle is now? My sister has it, I assume. Well, need to document this. If you want to press charges, you can. I do. I absolutely do. They took my full statement right there in the parking lot. As they were finishing up, my phone buzzed. It was a text from my father. Really, Chip? You called the cops on us? Your mother is in tears. Is this what we raised you to be? I stared at that text for a long moment. Then I turned off my phone and asked the officer for a copy of the police report. What my parents didn't understand, what they had never understood, was that this wasn't about the car. It was about respect. It was about boundaries. It was about them treating me like I didn't matter, like my hard work and my property were theirs to do with as they pleased. I took an Uber home that night to my small apartment 15 minutes from their house. I didn't sleep. I just sat on my couch, staring at the wall, feeling the weight of betrayal settle into my bones. The next morning, I was exhausted. My eyes burned from lack of sleep, and every time I closed them, I saw that empty parking spot. I had to beg a coworker named Travis to give me a ride to work. He was kind about it, but I felt humiliated explaining why I needed help. Family stuff, I said vaguely. Say no more, man. I've got you. Work was a blur. I kept checking my phone, half expecting my parents to call and apologize, to tell me they realized they crossed a line. Nothing. Radio silence. Around 11 that morning, my phone rang from an unknown number. My boss, Harold, caught me on the way out. Chip, you've left early twice this week. I know. I'm sorry. He'll explain later. I borrowed Travis' car after promising to fill his tank. The body shop was 20 minutes away. When I pulled into the parking lot and saw my Camry, I thought I might be sick. The entire front end was destroyed. The hood crumpled like paper. The bumper hanging off. Both airbags deployed. The windshield spider webbed with cracks. My beautiful, pristine, paid-off Camry looked like it had been through a war. I walked inside the shop on shaking legs. A manager with grease stains on his shirt looked up from a computer. Help you! That white Camry out there. That's my car, he frowned. You, Chip. Yes. Huh. Girl who brought it in said she was the owner. Had her parents with her backing up her story. She's not the owner. I am. I pulled out my phone, showed him the registration and title again. His frown deepened. Well, that's awkward. They already got an estimate started. $12,000 in damages. $12,000. I felt dizzy. Can I see the estimate? He handed me a printout. I scanned it, seeing words like structural damage, frame alignment, total airbag system replacement. My vision blurred. The bell above the door chimed. I turned to see my parents walking in, and my sister trailing behind them, looking at the floor. My father, Gary, was a stocky man with a perpetual scowl. My mother, Donna, was thin and nervous, always wringing her hands. Right now, though, she looked angry. Chip, What are you doing here? Gary demanded. What am I doing here? What are you doing here? This is my car that you stole. We didn't steal anything. We borrowed it for your sister. And now you've got her so upset she wrecked it. This is your fault. I actually laughed. It came out harsh and bitter. My fault? I didn't take the car. I didn't crash the car. How is any of this my fault? You should have just been reasonable yesterday. Elena needed transportation. You're being selfish. The shop manager cleared his throat. Folks, maybe take this outside. Gary ignored him, stepping closer to me. You're really going to destroy this family over a car? Elena made a mistake. Well, handle it. But you need to drop this police nonsense right now. No. Excuse me. I said no. You stole my car. Elena crashed it. Now there's $12,000 in damage. And you think I should just let it go? My mother started crying, real tears streaming down her face. I can't believe my own son would rather see his sister suffer than show a little compassion. We raised you better than this, Chip. You didn't raise me at all. I shot back. I raised myself. I paid my own way through college. I bought my own car. I've asked you for nothing since I was 18, and the one time you involve yourselves in my life, it's to steal from me. Elena finally looked up. Chip, I really am sorry. Are you? Or are you sorry you got caught? Sorry you crashed it. She didn't answer. The manager interrupted again. I really need you all to leave if you're going to argue. This is a place of business. We filed outside. In the parking lot, Gary got in my face, close enough that I could smell coffee on his breath. You drop those charges, or you're not welcome in this family anymore. Then, I guess I'm not welcome. He raised his hand like he might hit me. I didn't flinch. After a moment, he lowered it. You're making a huge mistake, he said quietly. The only mistake I made was trusting you. I went back into the shop and asked the manager to halt any work until I contacted my insurance. Then I called my insurance company from the parking lot, with my parents watching from their car. The insurance agent who answered was professional and patient as I explained the situation. Then she said something that made my blood run cold. Mr. Chip, we actually have an active claim on file for this vehicle already, filed this morning by an Elena at this same body shop. What? I never authorized that. The claim states that Elena was a permitted driver on your policy. She absolutely was not. She's not on my policy at all. I never gave her permission to drive my car. Well, this is concerning. This could be insurance fraud. I'm going to transfer you to our fraud investigation department. While I was on hold, I watched my parents and Elena through their car windshield. They were talking animatedly, probably planning their next move. The fraud investigator took my statement, told me they would launch an investigation, and that I should file a police report about the fraudulent claim. I told them I already had a report filed for the theft. Good, she said. Keep all documentation. This is serious. When I hung up, I looked at the estimate again. $12,000. My insurance rates would skyrocket. Even if the claim got resolved in my favor eventually, this was going to cost me. I drove Travis' car back to work, returned his keys, and sat at my desk in a daze. My phone buzzed constantly with texts from extended family members. My Uncle Phil, my Aunt Teresa, my grandmother, all with variations of the same message. How could you do this to your parents? Family is everything, Chip. Your mother is devastated. Not one of them asked for my side of the story. They had already decided I was the villain. By the time I got home that evening, another Uber ride because I still had no car, I had 17 missed calls and 32 text messages. I turned off my phone and sat in the dark. That's when I logged into my bank account to check my balance, thinking about how I was going to afford all this legal trouble and car repairs. My savings account showed a failed transaction. Someone had tried to transfer $5,000 to an external account. The bank's fraud protection had blocked it and flagged my account. I called the bank's fraud hotline immediately. The representative who answered pulled up my account. Yes, Mr. Chip. We caught an unauthorized transfer attempt at 2:30 this afternoon. The request came from an IP address we traced to a residential location in your area. We blocked it and secured your account. You'll need to come in tomorrow to verify your identity and reset your security. Can you tell me what IP address? She gave me a string of numbers. I ran them through an online lookup tool. The IP address belonged to my parents' home internet service. They hadn't just stolen my car. They had tried to steal my money, too. I didn't sleep that night either. I sat at my kitchen table with a legal pad, writing down everything that had happened in chronological order. Every lie, every manipulation, every violation. By morning, I had 3 pages of notes. I called the police non-emergency line and asked to speak to whoever had taken my report about the car. They connected me to a detective named Sandra Morrison. Her voice was calm and steady. "Mr. Chip, I was actually about to call you. I've been assigned to your case. Can you come down to the station this afternoon?" "Yes. And I have more to report. My parents tried to access my bank account yesterday." There was a pause. "Tell me everything." I explained about the blocked transfer attempt, the IP address, the amount. She listened without interrupting. "Bring all your documentation when you come in," she said. "Bank statements, the IP address information, everything." I took a personal day from work. Harold was understanding, but I could see the concern in his eyes. I was becoming unreliable, distracted. In a company where attention to detail mattered, that was a problem. At the police station, Detective Morrison met me in a small interview room. She was in her 40s, with short dark hair and an expression that gave nothing away. She had me walk through everything again, this time recording my statement. When I mentioned the insurance fraud, she made a note. When I told her about the bank account, she leaned forward. "This changes things. Attempted wire fraud is federal. I'm going to need to coordinate with other agencies. I just want my car fixed and my life back." "I understand. But your parents have committed multiple crimes here. The more we dig, the more we're finding." She pulled out a folder and opened it. Inside were printed pages. "We got a warrant for your parents' phone records. Text messages, mostly. I need to show you some of these." She slid several pages across the table. I started reading. The texts were between my mother and father, dated 6 weeks ago. "Mom, Elena totaled another car. We can't keep doing this. Dad, what do you want me to do? We're already stretched thin. Mom, Chip has that new Camry. Paid off. He won't miss it. Dad, you want to just take it. Mom, why not? Has always been fine on his own. Elena needs us more. Dad, hell flip out. Mom, well, handle him. We can say he agreed to it. Who will they believe, him or both of us?" I felt sick reading it. They had planned this. For 6 weeks, they knew Elena was going to wreck her car. And they had already decided to take mine. There were more texts from the day they took it. "Mom, I have the spare key. Taking it now while he's at work. Dad, what if he calls the cops? Mom, he won't. And if he does, well, say he's being dramatic. His insurance will cover it if anything happens. Hez responsible, hell have full coverage." Detective Morrison watched my face. "I'm sorry you have to see this. They used me," I said quietly. "They just saw me as a resource. Unfortunately, that's common in financial exploitation cases within families. People rationalize it because they're related." She showed me more texts. Plans to file the insurance claim in Elena's name. Discussions about how they could pocket some of the insurance payout to cover their own bills. It was all there, documented in their own words. "There's something else," Detective Morrison said. "We ran a financial background check as part of the investigation. Your parents are in significant debt. $30,000 on credit cards. They're 3 months behind on their mortgage. The bank is starting foreclosure proceedings." That explained some of it. Desperation. But it didn't excuse anything. "I need to talk to Elena," I said. "Alone." Detective Morrison considered this. "That's your choice. But be careful. Anything she tells you could be relevant to the case." I texted Elena that afternoon. "Coffee. Just you and me. I need the truth." She agreed to meet me at a place halfway between our apartments. When I arrived, she was already there, hunched over a table in the corner. She looked terrible, dark circles under her eyes, hair unwashed. I sat down across from her without ordering anything. "Tell me the truth, Elena. All of it." She started crying immediately. They told me you'd understand eventually. That you'd forgive us, because that's what you always do. You're the responsible one. You always figure things out. That's not what I asked. They said if I didn't go along with it, they'd kick me out. I have nowhere to go, Chip. I lost my job 3 months ago. I have no money. I've been living with them and they keep holding it over my head. I hadn't known she lost her job. Why didn't you tell me? Because I was embarrassed. Because you have your life together and am a mess. Because I didn't want you to know how badly I've screwed everything up. So you thought stealing my car was better. I didn't want to do it. I told them it was wrong, but Mom kept saying you'd be fine, that you always land on your feet. And Dad said they needed the insurance money to make their mortgage payment. I sat back in my chair. They were going to keep the insurance money. That's what they said. They told me I'd get a car eventually. But first they needed to catch up on bills. And you crashed my car because I was terrified. I knew it was wrong. I was panicking, not paying attention. I looked down at my phone for 1 second and I hit that SUV. I'm sorry, Chip. I'm so sorry. I studied my sister. She looked broken. For the first time, I saw her not as the reckless, enabled child my parents had created, but as another victim of their manipulation. Elena, has this happened before? Them using you? She nodded, wiping her eyes. 2 years ago, they had me take out a credit card. They said it was for emergencies, that they'd pay it off. They maxed it out. $15,000. Destroyed my credit. I can't get approved for anything now. Not an apartment, not a car loan, nothing. Why didn't you tell me? Because I was ashamed. And because they said if I told anyone, they'd kick me out and I'd be homeless. I felt my anger shifting. Yes, Elena had made terrible choices, but she had been manipulated and controlled by people who were supposed to protect her. I need you to be honest with me about something. Did you know they tried to steal money from my bank account? Her eyes widened. What? No. When? Yesterday. $5,000. She looked genuinely shocked. I didn't know. I swear I didn't know. I pulled out my phone and turned on the recorder. Elena, I need you to repeat everything you just told me. For the record, she hesitated. Are you recording this? Yes, with your permission. Because I need evidence. Can I record this? She nodded slowly. Yes. Okay. I had her repeat it all. The pressure from our parents, the threats, the credit card fraud, the plan to keep the insurance money. She confirmed everything. When we finished, I turned off the recorder. You need to get away from them. I have nowhere to go. Then you need to find somewhere. Because if you stay, they'll keep using you. And one day, you'll be the one facing charges instead of them. She looked at me with red, swollen eyes. Do you hate me? I'm furious with you. But no. I don't hate you. I think you've been trapped in a bad situation for so long you don't know how to get out. But Elena, this is your chance. You can either stay trapped, or you can choose differently. I left her at that coffee shop and drove back to my apartment. That evening, my phone rang. It was my Uncle Phil. Chip, your mother called me crying. She says you're trying to put them in jail. They committed crimes, Uncle Phil. Multiple crimes. They're your parents. You don't do this to family. They stole from me. They tried to steal more. They lied to the police. They committed insurance fraud. What am I supposed to do? Just let it go. Yes, that's exactly what you do. You let it go because they're family. Would you let it go if someone stole your car? That's different. How? He didn't have an answer for that. He just sighed. You're tearing this family apart. No, Uncle Phil. They did that when they decided to steal from me. He hung up. More texts rolled in from other relatives, some apologetic now that bits of truth were leaking out, but most still defensive of my parents. Only my grandmother, my father's mother, called with genuine concern. Chip, honey, I heard what happened. Your grandfather and I are worried about you. I'm okay, Grandma. Are you, though? This must be so hard. Finally, someone asking about me. I felt my throat tighten. It is hard. They betrayed me. I know, sweetheart. Your father came by yesterday asking to borrow money. I told him no. He got angry. That's when I knew something was very wrong. They're in bad debt, Grandma. Really bad, I suspected. But that doesn't give them the right to steal from their own son. She paused. I'm proud of you for standing up for yourself. Your grandfather would be too. That made me cry. Just a little. Just enough. Thank you, Grandma. You stay strong. And if you need anything, you call me. That night, I started therapy. I found a therapist named Dr. Patricia Whitmore, who specialized in family trauma. Our first session was mostly me just talking, unloading everything. She listened patiently. Then she said, Chip, you've been conditioned your whole life to be the easy child, the one who doesn't make waves, the one who sacrifices so everyone else can be comfortable. What you're doing now, setting boundaries and demanding accountability, it feels wrong because it's new, but it's not wrong. It's healthy. It doesn't feel healthy. It feels like I'm destroying my family. You're not destroying anything. You're refusing to participate in dysfunction. There's a difference. Over the next 2 weeks, things escalated in ways I couldn't have predicted. Detective Morrison called me in for another meeting. When I arrived, there was a federal agent with her, a woman in a dark suit who introduced herself as Agent Sarah Fletcher. Mr. Chip. I'm with the FBI's Financial Crimes Division. The attempted wire fraud against your bank account falls under our jurisdiction. We'd like your cooperation in building a case. I sat down slowly. This is federal now. Yes. Wire fraud is a federal offense. If convicted, your parents could face significant prison time. My stomach churned. Prison. I hadn't thought that far ahead. Agent Fletcher must have seen my expression. I know this is difficult, but understand that they didn't just try this once. We've been authorized to look deeper into their financial history. There are irregularities going back years. Like what? I can't share everything yet. But let's just say the credit card your sister mentioned isn't the only fraudulent account opened in a family member's name. I felt cold. Are you saying they've done this to other people? We're investigating. But yes, potentially. Detective Morrison added. The local DA is also moving forward with charges for the car theft and the insurance fraud. Between the state and federal cases, your parents are looking at serious consequences. Will Elena be charged too? That depends. If she cooperates with the investigation, the DA may offer her immunity. She was clearly coerced and manipulated, but she did participate in the insurance fraud knowingly. I thought about my sister, trapped and scared. Shell, cooperate. Ill, make sure of it. That afternoon, I called Elena. You need to get a lawyer. A real one. And you need to cooperate with the investigation. I can't afford a lawyer. I'll help you find one. Legal aid, public defender, something. But Elena, if you want any chance of getting through this without a criminal record, you need to tell them everything. She agreed. I helped her find a legal aid attorney who specialized in coercion cases. The attorney's name was Ruth Palmer, and after hearing Elena's story, she took the case pro bono. Your sister is a victim here too, Ruth told me over the phone. The DA will see that if we present it correctly. Meanwhile, my own situation was getting worse. My car was still at the body shop. The insurance claim was frozen during the fraud investigation, and I was burning through money on Uber rides and rental cars. Work was suffering. Harold called me into his office again. Chip, I need to be honest with you. Your performance has dropped significantly. You've missed deadlines, made errors in shipment schedules, and you're clearly not present even when you're here. I know. I'm sorry. My personal situation is complicated right now. I've been patient because you've been a good employee. But I need to know this is going to get better. We've got a major client audit next month, and I need my team sharp. It will get better. I promise. But I wasn't sure I believed that myself. At home, I was barely sleeping. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw my mother's face when she laughed on the phone. We gave it to Elena, like my property, my effort, my sacrifice meant nothing. Whitmore helped me process the anger. It's okay to be furious. They violated your trust in the most fundamental way. But don't let that fury consume you. Use it as fuel to build better boundaries. How do I forgive them? Who says you have to? Forgiveness isn't required for healing. Sometimes the healthiest thing is to simply let go and move forward without them. That thought terrified and relieved me at the same time. Detective Morrison called me a week later. "We need you to come in. We have something to show you." At the station, she laid out a new set of documents: bank statements, credit applications, loan papers. "Chip, your parents opened 3 credit cards in Elena's name over the past 5 years. Total debt, $42,000. They also took out a personal loan using your grandmother's information without her knowledge. $15,000. They forged her signature." I stared at the papers. "Grandma doesn't know. Not yet. We're going to need to notify her. This is elder fraud, on top of everything else." I put my head in my hands. How deep does this go? We're still finding out. "But Chip, your parents are in a pattern of financial abuse. This isn't just desperation. This is calculated predation on their own family members." That evening, I drove to my grandmother's house. She lived in a small ranch home 40 minutes away, the house where my father grew up. She welcomed me with a hug and made tea like she always did. "Grandma, I need to tell you something, and it's going to be upsetting." I explained about the loan, the forged signature, the stolen $15,000. She listened in silence, her face growing paler. "Oh, Chip. Oh no, I'm so sorry. I just found out today." She set down her teacup with shaking hands. I knew Gary was in trouble, but I never thought he'd steal from me, and his mother. "I know." She was quiet for a long moment. Then she looked at me with tears in her eyes. "What do I do?" "You need to report it. File charges. I know it's hard. Hez my son. And I'm your grandson. And he stole from me too. Grandma, if we don't stop this, he'll keep doing it to other people." She nodded slowly. "You're right. You're right. I know you are. It just hurts so much." "I know it does." She filed a police report the next day. Agent Fletcher added elder fraud to the federal charges. My father's crimes were stacking up like a tower of blocks, and any moment, the whole thing was going to collapse. My parents called me from a restricted number. I answered without thinking. "Chip, we need to talk." My father's voice was strained. "We have nothing to talk about. Please, just listen. We're in trouble. Real trouble. The DA called us yesterday. They're talking about prison time. Chip, you have to drop the charges." "I can't drop federal charges. That's not how it works." "Then tell them it was a misunderstanding. Tell them you gave permission. I'm not lying for you. We're your parents." His voice broke. "Doesn't that mean anything? You're the ones who forgot what being parents means. You stole from me, from Elena, from your own mother. You committed fraud. You ruined credit. You lied to police. And now you want me to save you from the consequences." My mother's voice came on the line, sobbing. "We're going to lose the house. We're going to lose everything. Is that what you want? To see your parents homeless? You did this to yourselves. We were desperate. We made mistakes. Mistakes are accidents. What you did was calculated." I saw the texts. 6 weeks of planning. Silence. Then my father again, his voice cold. "If we go down, we're taking Elena with us." "Well, tell them she was in on it from the start. She'll go to prison too. Elena has immunity. Her lawyer already worked it out. She's cooperating. You turned our daughter against us. No, you did that when you used her as a pawn." My father's rage exploded. "You self-righteous little punk. You think you're so much better than us. Wait until you have kids. Wait until you're struggling. You'll understand." "I understand plenty. I understand I'm never going to be like you." I hung up. My hands were shaking. That night, Elena called me. Mom and Dad came to my apartment. They tried to get inside. They were screaming through the door, saying I betrayed them. "Did you call the police?" "Yes. They came and made my parents leave. But Chip, I'm scared. What if they come back? Get a restraining order. Tomorrow. First thing. I don't know how. I'll help you. Ruth will help you." Well, figure it out. The restraining order was granted 3 days later. My parents were ordered to stay at least 100 yards away from Elena. They violated it within 24 hours, showing up at the grocery store, where she'd just gotten a part-time job. They were arrested for violating the restraining order, held overnight, released on bail again. Each day brought new revelations, new charges, new horrors. And through it all, I kept thinking about that Tuesday evening when I walked out of work to find my parking spot empty. That was the moment my old life ended. That was the moment I stopped being the easy son, the one who smoothed things over and kept the peace. That was the moment I chose myself. The preliminary hearing happened on a Thursday morning in late September. I sat in the courtroom gallery, wearing my only suit, watching my parents sit at the defense table with their attorney. They looked smaller somehow, diminished. The charges were read aloud: grand theft auto, insurance fraud, attempted wire fraud, identity theft, elder fraud, forgery. The list went on. Each charge felt like a hammer blow. Elena sat on the opposite side of the courtroom from our parents. She was testifying for the prosecution. Her attorney, Ruth, sat beside her. When Elena was called to the stand, I watched my parents' faces. My mother wouldn't look at her. My father stared with an expression I couldn't read. The prosecutor, a sharp woman named Jennifer Huang, walked Elena through her testimony. "Can you tell the court about the credit cards opened in your name?" Elena's voice was quiet but steady. My parents opened 3 credit cards using my information between 2019 and 2023. They told me it was for emergencies, that they'd pay them off. They maxed out all 3 cards, total debt of $42,000. I didn't find out until debt collectors started calling me. "Did you authorize these credit cards?" "No, ma'am." "Did you ever use these credit cards?" "No, ma'am." "I never even saw the cards. My parents kept them." "And can you tell the court about the events of August 15th of this year, regarding your brother's vehicle?" Elena took a breath. "My parents told me they were going to take my brother Chip's car and give it to me. I told them it was wrong. They said if I didn't go along with it, they'd kick me out. I had no job and no money. I felt trapped. What happened after they took the car? They gave me the keys and told me to drive it. I didn't want to. I was scared. The next morning, I was at a stoplight, and I wasn't paying attention because I was panicking, and I rear-ended another car. The front of my brother's car was destroyed. What did your parents do then?" "They came to the body shop. They told the shop manager that I was the owner of the car. They helped me file an insurance claim under my name as the driver. My mother told me, Wed, get the insurance money, and they'd use it to catch up on bills. She said my brother would be fine, that his insurance would cover it." "Did your brother ever give permission for you to drive his car?" "No, ma'am." The defense attorney tried to discredit her on cross-examination, suggesting she was lying to save herself. But Elena held firm. She answered every question honestly, even the ones that made her look bad. When she stepped down, she walked past our parents without looking at them. The judge reviewed the evidence: text messages, bank records, forged signatures, recorded phone calls. It was overwhelming. Detective Morrison testified about the investigation. Agent Fletcher testified about the wire fraud attempt. Then, I was called to testify. I walked to the stand on unsteady legs and swore to tell the truth. Jennifer Huang asked me to describe the evening I discovered my car was missing. I told the story, trying to keep my voice even. When I got to the part about my mother laughing on the phone, I saw several jurors frown. "Mr. Chip, had you ever given your parents permission to use your vehicle?" "No, ma'am. Never." "Had you ever given them a spare key?" "No. I only had the 2 keys from the dealer." "How did you feel when you discovered what they'd done? Betrayed? Violated? Like I didn't matter to them at all?" The defense attorney asked me about my relationship with my parents, trying to paint me as estranged and vindictive. I answered truthfully, "I've always had a difficult relationship with my parents. They favored my sister, but I never thought they'd steal from me. I never thought they'd commit crimes. Isn't it true that you were jealous of your sister, and this is revenge?" "No, sir. This isn't revenge. This is accountability." After the testimonies, the judge called a recess. I sat in the hallway, my head in my hands. Elena came and sat next to me. "That was hard," she said. "Yeah. Do you think I did okay? You told the truth. That's all you could do. Detective Morrison found us. The DA wants to talk to you both." We followed her to a small conference room. Jennifer Huang was there with Agent Fletcher. They had us sit down. Elena, the DA has agreed to offer you full immunity in exchange for your continued cooperation. You won't face any charges. Elena's eyes filled with tears. Really? Really? What your parents did to you was abuse. The court recognizes that. Thank you. Thank you so much. Jennifer turned to me. Chip, your parents' attorney has approached us about a plea deal. They want to plead guilty to reduce charges in exchange for avoiding a trial. What does that mean? It means they'd plead guilty to theft, fraud, and identity theft. We'd drop some of the smaller charges. They'd face probation instead of prison time, but they'd have felony convictions on their records. They'd owe you restitution for damages and legal fees, and they'd have to complete community service and mandatory financial counseling. I thought about this. No prison time. Not unless they violate probation. It's their first offense, and the judge is inclined toward mercy if they show genuine remorse. Do they? Jennifer's expression was neutral. That's hard to say. I looked at Elena. She was watching me. What do you think? I asked her. I think they need help more than they need prison. But I also think they need consequences. I don't know, Chip. It's your call. I turned back to Jennifer. What happens if we go to trial? They could face serious prison time, 3 to 5 years, possibly. But trials are unpredictable, and it would drag this out for months, maybe longer. I thought about months more of this hanging over me, months more of being unable to move forward. Let me think about it. You have until tomorrow. That night, I called Dr. Whitmore. I don't know what to do. What do you want, Chip? I want them to understand what they did. I want them to change. I want to be able to move on with my life. Will prison give you those things? I don't know. What will? I thought about it for a long time. Them taking responsibility. Them getting help. Them paying for the damage they caused. And me being free to live without them in my life if that's what I choose. Then, that's your answer. The next morning, I told Jennifer to accept the plea deal. My parents would plead guilty. They'd face consequences. But they'd have a chance to change. The sentencing hearing was 2 weeks later. My parents stood before the judge and entered guilty pleas to theft, fraud, and identity theft. 3 counts each. The judge looked at them with stern disapproval. Mr. and Mrs. Gary, you betrayed your son's trust in the most fundamental way. You stole from him, from your own daughter, from your elderly mother. You committed fraud. You lied to police. Parents are supposed to protect and support their children, not exploit them. My mother was crying. My father stared at the floor. I am sentencing you each to 2 years probation. You will pay restitution to your son in the amount of $8,000 for damages, legal fees, and emotional distress. You will complete 200 hours of community service each. You will attend mandatory financial counseling and anger management courses. And you will have no contact with your son unless he initiates it. Do you understand? Yes, Your Honor, they said in unison. If you violate the terms of your probation, you will serve the maximum sentence of 3 years in prison. Do you understand? Yes, Your Honor. The judge banged the gavel. This court is adjourned. As we filed out, my mother tried to approach me. Her lawyer stopped her, reminding her about the no-contact order. She stood there in the hallway, crying, reaching toward me. I walked past her without a word. Outside the courthouse, Elena hugged me. It's over. It's finally over. Yeah, I said. It is, but it didn't feel over. It felt like the beginning of something new and uncertain. Detective Morrison shook my hand. You did the right thing. I know it doesn't feel like it, but you did. Agent Fletcher gave me her card. If they contact you in violation of the order, you call me immediately. Ruth hugged Elena. You're free now. Make good choices. We stood on the courthouse steps, Elena and I, watching our parents drive away with their lawyer. The afternoon sun was bright. Traffic moved past. Life continued. What now? Elena asked. Now we figure out how to move forward. 6 months passed. 6 months of rebuilding, healing, and learning who I was without the weight of my parents' dysfunction pressing down on me. My Camry was fully repaired within a month of the sentencing. The insurance company resolved the claim in my favor once the fraud investigation concluded. Driving it for the first time after getting it back was strange. It looked the same, pristine white paint and clean interior, but it felt different. It wasn't just a car anymore. It was a symbol of boundaries enforced, of self-respect maintained. My parents had paid $4,000 of the $8,000 restitution so far, making monthly payments as ordered by the court. The money appeared in my account like clockwork. No note, no message attached. Just numbers in a bank account. A tangible reminder of consequences. They'd lost their house to foreclosure, just as they'd feared. They were renting a small 2-bedroom apartment in a less expensive part of town. I heard this through my grandmother, who had slowly started speaking to them again. Shed filed her own police report and received restitution for the $15,000 they'd stolen from her. But she couldn't quite cut them off completely. They were her son and daughter-in-law. After all, I understood. Family dynamics were complicated. Elena had transformed in ways I hadn't expected. Shed kept her cashier job at the grocery store for 6 months, the longest Shed ever held a position. She was saving money, attending therapy twice a month, and had joined a support group for adult children of financial abusers. We met for coffee every 2 weeks, slowly rebuilding trust. She was different now. Quieter. More thoughtful. Shed apologized to me so many times I'd finally told her she could stop. "I know you're sorry," I said during one of our coffee meetings. "You've shown me through your actions. You don't have to keep saying it." Shed started crying. "I just want you to know, I'm not that person anymore. The person who helped them steal from you. I know you're not." She was even planning to go back to school. Community college, studying business administration. "I want to learn how money actually works," she told me. "I want to understand credit and budgeting, and all the things Mom and Dad never taught us. I want to be better." I helped her fill out financial aid forms and write her admissions essay. It felt good to support her in something constructive. Work had stabilized. After the legal stuff was resolved, my focus returned. Harold pulled me aside one day and told me he'd been impressed by how I'd handled everything. "Most people would have fallen apart. You kept showing up, kept trying. That says something about your character." I got a small raise and a better parking spot. Small victories, but they mattered. Therapy with Dr. Whitmore continued. We'd worked through most of the acute trauma and were now focusing on long-term patterns. Understanding how I'd learned to make myself small, how I'd been conditioned to prioritize everyone else's needs above my own. "You're rewriting your story," she told me. During one session, the old story was about a son who sacrificed and got nothing. The new story is about a man who set boundaries and built a life he's proud of. I started dating someone from work. Her name was Amy, and she worked in the accounting department. We'd talked occasionally before, but after everything happened, she'd been particularly kind, bringing me coffee when I looked stressed, asking how I was doing with genuine concern. Our first date was dinner at a quiet Italian place. I told her the whole story over pasta and wine. She listened without judgment. "That must have been incredibly hard," she said when I finished. "It was. Still is, sometimes. Do you regret it? Calling the police?" I thought about that. No. I regret that it had to come to that, but I don't regret standing up for myself. She smiled. "Good. You shouldn't. We took things slow. I wasn't ready to rush into anything, and she understood that. But it was nice having someone in my life who knew my story and didn't see me as broken or damaged." My grandmother and I talked every week now. Shed apologized for the family initially taking my parents' side. "We didn't know the whole story," she said. "And even if we had, it's hard to believe your own child could do something like that. I'm sorry we made you feel alone. It's okay, Grandma. It's not okay. But I appreciate your grace." She told me my parents were in court, mandated financial counseling and anger management. The counselor had diagnosed my father with a gambling problem we hadn't known about. That explained some of the debt. Had been betting on sports, losing consistently, trying to win back his losses. Hes attending Gamblers Anonymous now, Grandma told me. "Your mother says Hes really trying." I didn't know what to do with that information. Part of me wanted to believe they were changing. Part of me knew it might be too late for our relationship. Then, 7 months after the sentencing, I got a letter in the mail, handwritten on lined paper, my mother's careful script filling 3 pages. Dear Chip, I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't expect you to even read this. But I need to try to tell you what I've learned. I see now what we did. We treated you like a resource instead of our son. We took your kindness and responsibility for granted. We assumed you'd always be okay, so we didn't have to worry about hurting you. We could focus on Elena because she was struggling, and you were fine. But we made Elena struggle worse by enabling her, and we hurt you worse by ignoring you. We failed both our children in different ways. I'm in therapy now. Real therapy, not just court-ordered sessions. I'm learning why I make the choices I make, why I allowed fear and desperation to turn me into someone who would steal from her own son, why I convinced myself it was okay because we're family. Family is supposed to mean something. It's supposed to mean love and support and protection. We forgot that. We twisted it into something ugly, where family became an excuse for abuse. Your father has a gambling problem. We've been hiding it for years. That's where most of our debt came from. Hez getting help now. We're both getting help. We lost the house. We're renting a small place. We work minimum wage jobs to pay our bills and the restitution we owe you. It's humbling. It's hard, but it's honest work, and that's more than we've been in a long time. I don't know if you'll ever want a relationship with us again. I don't know if we deserve one. But I want you to know that I see what we did. I own it. I'm ashamed of it. And am trying to be better. Not for you. I don't get to ask anything of you. Am trying to be better because it's right. Because I need to live with myself. Because I don't want to be that person anymore. If you ever want to talk, I'm here. If you don't, I understand. I love you, Chip. I should have shown that through actions, not words. I'm sorry I didn't. Love. Mom, I read the letter 3 times. Then I put it in a drawer and didn't respond. 2 weeks later, I got a shorter letter from my father. Chip, I was wrong. I let pride and panic turn me into someone I hate. I gambled away our security. I stole from my own family. I lied to cover my tracks. I blamed you when you stood up for yourself. I'm sorry, son. Those words aren't enough, but they're true. I'm working on myself. I'm trying to understand why I made these choices. I'm trying to be better. I don't ask for forgiveness. I just want you to know I see what I did. Dad, I showed both letters to Dr. Whitmore. How do you feel reading these? She asked. Conflicted. Part of me wants to believe they're genuine. Part of me thinks it's manipulation. It can be both. They can genuinely want to change and still be manipulative. Growth isn't linear. Do I respond? Do you want to? I don't know. I didn't respond. Not yet. I wasn't ready. But I kept the letters. One Saturday morning, 9 months after that Tuesday evening, when I walked out of work to an empty parking spot, I was washing my Camry in the parking lot of my apartment. The sun was bright, the weather was perfect, and I had coffee from my favorite shop sitting on the hood. My phone rang. It was my mother's number. I stared at it for 3 rings, then answered. Hello. Chip. It's Mom. I know I'm not supposed to call unless you reach out first, but I wanted to ask you something. It's okay if you say no. What is it? Your birthday is next month. I was wondering if you'd consider coming to dinner. Just dinner. Your father and I want to acknowledge it. We understand if you don't want to. My birthday. It'd be 29. Last year's birthday had been during the worst of the legal proceedings. I'd spent it alone, eating takeout and trying not to think about how my family had imploded. I'll think about it, I said. Thank you for considering. That's more than we deserve. Mom, yes. Are those letters real? The things you wrote? A pause. Then, yes. Every word. I know you have no reason to believe me, but yes. I'm trying, Chip. We both are. Okay. I'll think about dinner. I hung up and stood there with the hose running water over my car, watching soap suds slide down the white paint. A year ago, I would have said yes immediately. I would have swallowed my hurt and showed up because that's what good sons do. Now, I had a choice. I could say yes on my terms. I could say no and feel no guilt. I could wait and decide later. The power of choice felt good. I finished washing my car, dried it carefully, and stood back to admire it. my Camry, my hard work, my boundaries enforced. It sat in my parking spot, right where it belonged. I ended up telling my mother I'd think about the birthday dinner and let her know. That was 3 weeks ago. I still haven't decided. Amy thinks I should go, but with conditions. Make it a public place. Set a time limit. Bring someone with you if you want. Elena thinks I should trust my gut. If you're not ready, you're not ready. They'll have to accept that. Doctor. Whitmore asks me what I want instead of telling me what to do. That's frustrating and helpful at the same time. What I've realized over these past 10 months is that healing isn't a straight line. Some days I feel strong and clear and proud of what I did. Other days I feel guilty and sad, and I wonder if I overreacted. Then I remember the texts, the lies, the calculated betrayal, and I know I didn't. Standing up for yourself isn't selfish. It's necessary. For years, I thought being a good son meant being the quiet son. The one who didn't rock the boat, who let things slide to keep the peace. But peace built on injustice isn't real peace. It's just delayed conflict. My parents taught me an unintentional lesson that changed my life. Love without boundaries isn't love, it's enabling. And being family doesn't give anyone the right to exploit you. Real family respects your boundaries, even when it's hard. I don't regret calling 911 that Tuesday evening. I regret that it had to come to that. But sometimes the most loving thing you can do for someone is to stop protecting them from the consequences of their actions. That's what I did for my parents. I forced them to face what they'd done. That's what I did for Elena. I showed her there was another way to live. And that's what I did for myself. I proved I was worth fighting for. The car they stole was just metal and glass. What they really stole was trust. And that took much longer to rebuild. But here's what I learned through all this. You can't rebuild trust without truth. And you can't have truth without accountability. My parents are learning to be better people. Whether they succeed long-term, I don't know. That's not my responsibility anymore. My responsibility is to myself, to my own boundaries, to my own healing. Elena is finding her own way. She's in college now, working part-time, building a life that's hers. We have coffee every 2 weeks and she tells me about her classes, her new friends, her therapy breakthroughs. She's not the scared, manipulated girl she was a year ago. She's becoming someone I'm proud to call my sister. And me? I'm learning that self-respect isn't something you're born with. It's something you fight for, one boundary at a time. My Camry sits in my parking spot every day, right where it belongs. Sometimes I look at it and remember that empty space, that moment of shock and betrayal. But mostly I look at it and feel proud. Proud that I stood up for myself. Proud that I demanded accountability. Proud that I chose myself. Last week, Amy and I were driving somewhere, and she asked me if I was happy. I thought about it. Really thought about it. Yeah, I said. I actually am. And I meant it. Life isn't perfect. I'm still in therapy. I still have complicated feelings about my parents. I still wonder sometimes if I should have handled things differently. But I'm building something real now. A life based on honesty and boundaries and respect. That Tuesday evening when I walked out of work changed everything. It was the worst night of my life and the best thing that ever happened to me, because it forced me to choose. Keep accepting being treated like I didn't matter, or stand up and demand better. I chose better. I chose me. And that's made all the difference. As for my parents' dinner invitation, I'm still deciding. Maybe I'll go. Maybe I won't. But whatever I choose, it will be on my terms. Not theirs. Not obligation or guilt or family pressure. Mine. Because I finally learned my own worth. And nobody gets to take that away from me again. That's the real story. Not about a stolen car, but about a man who finally learned to fight for himself. And you know what? That's enough. I want to ask you something. Have you ever had to set a hard boundary with someone you loved? Someone who was supposed to protect you but hurt you instead? How did you find the strength to stand up for yourself? I'd love to hear your stories in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, if it helped you feel less alone in your own struggles, please hit that like button. Subscribe to hear more stories about finding strength in difficult situations, and share this with someone who might need to hear that it's okay to choose themselves. Thank you for listening to my story. Thank you for understanding. And remember, you're worth fighting for too. Take care of yourselves out there.